We've all been told this story about work. The story that says a better boss is the secret to everything. If we could just find that one amazing, supportive leader, our whole career would just click into place. It's a nice idea for sure, but what if that very belief is the thing that's actually holding you back? Today, we're going to take that idea apart, piece by piece, and show you that the most important person in your career, well, it isn't your boss. It's you. Let's dive in.
Does that sound familiar? Yeah, I thought so. These are pretty much the greatest hits of workplace complaints, right? And look, the thing is, a lot of the time these complaints are totally legit, but they're also a trap. Venting feels good in the moment, but it's got this long-term cost. Every single time you blame your boss for where you're at, you're literally just giving away a little piece of your own power. You're basically paying this frustration tax that just slowly drains your agency.
So, where does all this frustration even come from? Well, it's rooted in something I call the superhero manager myth. We have built up this impossible idea of what a manager should be, this perfect blend of mentor, strategist, coach, and visionary, all rolled into one. And then we act all surprised when actual real-life human beings can't possibly live up to this comic book character we've invented.
And this slide it absolutely nails the disconnect. On the left, that's what we expect, this flawless, all-knowing hero. But the reality, on the right, is usually just a person who got promoted because they were really good at their last job, coding or sales or design, not because they're a natural-born leader. They're often just thrown into the deep end with zero real training, and then we expect them to be Michael Phelps. So what happens when you have this huge gap between expectation and reality? You get this constant, draining sense of disappointment. When you make your career growth totally dependent on your manager being perfect, you've willingly locked yourself in a cage and then just handed the key to somebody else. You become a spectator in your own career, just waiting for a savior who, let's be honest, probably isn't coming.
Okay, let's get real about the cost of living in that cage. Because blaming your boss, it does more than just feel good for a minute. It has this hidden, corrosive effect on your career. Think of it like a slow leak in your own professional authority, just draining away your power to make any real change.
I call it career quicksand. The more you fight and struggle against your manager's flaws, the deeper you sink into your own frustration and inaction. You get so focused on what they're not doing that you completely forget to think about what you can do. It's this vicious cycle that basically guarantees you stay stuck right where you are.
All right, so how do you get out of the quicksand? It all starts with a very simple but incredibly powerful pivot. You have to consciously decide to shift your focus away from their weaknesses and onto your strengths. It's about taking all of that energy you're wasting being frustrated and channeling it into actions that will actually move you forward.
Now let's be really, really clear about what this means. This is not about just accepting bad management or making excuses for poor leadership. It's not about lowering your standards. As the slide says, it's the exact opposite. It's about raising the standards for yourself. It's about deciding your career is way too important for you to just be a passenger. It's about stepping up and leading yourself.
So what does self-leadership actually look like day to day? It's not some fuzzy, abstract idea. It's a set of real, concrete actions. We're going to break down 5 practical ways you can start leading yourself and taking back your power, like right now.
And here they are, the 5 signals of self-leadership. It all starts with seeking clarity instead of waiting for permission. It means you bring solutions, not just a list of problems. You learn to communicate for impact. You turn bad bosses into learning opportunities. We'll get to that one. And maybe most important, you own your own development. This is your roadmap.
Let's just zoom in on this one for a second. The shift from being a problem broadcaster to a problem solver. See, anyone can walk into a room and say, this isn't working. That takes 0 effort. But the person who walks in and says, hey, this isn't working, but I've got a couple of ideas on how we might fix it, well, that person is playing a completely different game. That's how you build influence. That's how you make yourself invaluable. Okay, this next one is a huge mental shift. Instead of seeing your bad boss as just this source of endless frustration, start seeing them as a free masterclass in what not to do. Seriously, study their mistakes, analyze why their communication fails, watch the impact of their decisions on the team. When you reframe them as a case study, you turn your biggest obstacle into your most valuable teacher. And the last piece of the puzzle is this. You are the CEO of your own career. The days of sitting back and waiting for your company to hand you a development plan, those days are over. Your growth is your responsibility. It doesn't depend on a training budget or your manager's approval. With all the resources out there today, the only thing stopping you from learning is you. You have to take control and future-proof your own skills.
So what's the end game here? What's the ultimate result of doing all this? It's about building the skill to thrive absolutely anywhere, with anyone. It's about becoming, for lack of a better word, boss-proof. Because the reality is, you're going to run into way more imperfect bosses than perfect ones. This mindset is what lets you win anyway. You've probably heard this a million times. People don't leave companies, they leave managers. And yeah, as this chart shows, there's a lot of truth to it. About half of people who quit point to their boss as the reason. But what if that's only half the story?
Because here's the catch. If you just leave, if you just jump ship without upgrading your own internal operating system, you are almost guaranteed to repeat the same patterns somewhere else. You're just taking your old habits and frustrations to a new job. It's like switching casinos but playing the exact same losing hand. You're just rolling the dice, hoping for a better outcome, and ignoring the one thing you actually have control over, you. And that right there brings us to the most important takeaway of all. The most successful people out there aren't the ones who got lucky and found a perfect boss. No way. They're the ones who learned how to thrive and grow despite having imperfect ones. True career success isn't about finding a great manager. It's about becoming so skilled, so adaptable, and so self-reliant that your boss's quality just doesn't dictate your success. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Are you waiting around for that perfect leader to show up and rescue your career? Or are you going to step up and be the leader your career has been waiting for all along? The power is, and always has been, yours.